Good afternoon. Bonjour. Je m'appelle Joost Wagner. I'm Joost Wagner. I'm going to be your moderator here today for the INVESTMED Access to Finance workshop number 3. Today we are talking about credit guarantee schemes, but I have with me Kirsty Fairhurst from EMEA, who will elaborate a little bit more what this meeting is all about, what we can learn, and then I will also introduce a little bit our process and who are the resource persons today. So over to you, Kirsty.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's so good for you all to be here. I'm really happy you've all joined us for this third workshop on access to finance. So I'm just going to introduce the INVESTMED project a little bit, even though you all know so much about it already, and highlight the objectives for today's session. So the INVESTMED project is obviously a European Union funded project working in Egypt, Lebanon, and Tunisia. And we're working to boost sustainable entrepreneurship in the Mediterranean region. So the objectives for today's workshop is to introduce credit guarantee schemes as a source of finance. So through INVESTMED, we want to demonstrate the different avenues of finances that are available to entrepreneurs in the Mediterranean, and credit guarantee schemes is something really important that you should all know about. So I want to explain how entrepreneurs and MSMEs, so you guys, can access this resource in your countries. Plus possibly as well, what are the advantages and disadvantages over other sources of finance? So you kind of know where to aim your energies and your efforts, and next steps for guarantee schemes in the Mediterranean, so what you can expect over the coming years. I'll pass the slide. So as you're all part of the INVESTMED community, I want to give you a minute to make sure that you are on our mailing lists and our engagement platform. So I want you to scan the QRs if you're not already on these lists, so that we can continue these conversations later on after the workshop is over and after the INVESTMED project is over as well. So I'm going to leave this on here for another 10 or 15 seconds so you can scan the codes. Okay.
And we might show the codes maybe one more time at the end of the session. So in case you missed it, we will show it again.
Yes. Okay, I pass back over to Joss to go over the housekeeping parts of this workshop.
Yes, thanks very much, Kirsty. So just a few things, and I'm sure you're all professionals. Just be mindful of your mic. This includes me, because sometimes we like to leave it on and we hear background noise. This session, as all the sessions, are being recorded. So meaning when you are staying on this workshop, you actually might appear for documentation purposes on a video. So but however, we are only recording more or less the presentations, and we will not share the conversation, the question and answer part with the public. And if you see the icon in the middle, that's your webcam icon. That means when you are speaking, we highly would like to ask you to switch on your webcam so we can actually see you when you talk. However, and that's the next slide, we are trying to make really good use of the chat. So that's why I asked all of you already to tell us who you are and where you are logging in from. So we would like you to add questions, but we're also interested in your comments and thoughts and insights, and you can write them in the chat at all times. And Kirsty is actually trying to capture question and answer and good comments on a mural board, on a online whiteboard. And at the end of the session, I will call upon her again, maybe to summarize, to highlight some of the things we heard from you. So that means we count on you, that there will be active participation, and we have 3 excellent official resource persons here bringing different country presentation, but we also have someone who's giving a little bit more the overview. And I want to introduce them all of you now, and then we call them one by one, and then we open up the session. So you see a little bit the outline here. So our first speaker is actually Dr. Mais Sha'ban. She's a research fellow at the Euro-Mediterranean Economists Association, and she's an assistant professor of banking and finance at Al-Zaytoonah University of Jordan. So you can see her credentials on the screen, so I will not read it out to you. That would be a little bit too easy for me. But she will give us an introductory presentation of about 10 minutes. And then we have with us the pleasure, and maybe next slide, Tahar Ben Hatira. He's the chairman and general manager of the Tunisian Guarantee Company, also known Sotugar. And please be aware that Sotugar, the Société Tunisienne de Garantie, that he will give his presentation in French. He will speak very slow, he promised. So that means you can practice your French. As you know, in the Mediterranean region, we speak not only English, of course, not at all so much, actually. And but our colleague Christine de Vissier will actually summarize a little bit in English for the people who don't maybe understand everything. And then last but not least, we are very happy to have you with us, calling actually from home after a very intensive tennis match, but working from home. Nagla Bahr, the managing director, the credit guarantee company Egypt, and she brings also more than 30 years experience in finance and economic development strategic planning. And she is also the president of the, or chairwoman of the Euro-Mediterranean Guarantee Network. Thank you very much for joining us, Nagla. And I think you're going to talk about the CGC of Egypt, but also maybe share some thoughts on a regional perspective. So again, we invite you to give your comments. We invite you to share your thoughts, and not only necessarily questions, but we invite you very much to ask all the questions you always want to ask. We are not a giant group. This is not a webinar with 500 people. So this is a chance to really go into a dialogue. And without further ado, if I haven't forgotten anything, Kirsty, then I will hand over to Dr. Mais. And Dr. Mais will give us a presentation, and she has prepared a couple of slides. And over to you.
Hi, thank you, Joost. Thank you, Kirsty, for your introduction. Let me just share my screen first.
Maybe in the meantime, we recommend Mr. Maher not to focus too much on my slides, but rather on the traffic. Thank you very much for joining and making an effort, Mr. Maher. So over to you, Mais.
Yes, so again, thank you all for being here. Thank you, Joost, again. Let me briefly introduce myself. Mais Sha'ban, research fellow at EMEA, assistant professor of banking and finance in Jordan, and also an expert on the INVESTMED project. So as Joost mentioned, I'll be giving you a brief introduction on credit guarantee schemes. Let me start with a brief background on the state of small medium enterprises access to finance in the MENA region. So SMEs are an important sector in the region, as in other regions of the world. They contribute immensely to the region's socioeconomic development. So as the largest employers in the region, they play a significant role in reducing unemployment rates, stimulating economic development, diversifying the economic base, promoting innovation, integrating women and youth into the development, among other important roles. However, their growth can be restricted by lack of access to finance, which could result in a less vibrant private sector. They are significantly underserved by banks and other financial institutions. And according to the SME Finance Forum, they have the highest proportion of MSME finance gap in the world, measured at 85%. So, in a survey also addressed to the INVESTMED sub-grantees, the respondents state that, or 75% of them state that financial support is very important for their growth. However, only however, 73% state that access to finance is a major constraint to their development, and only 29% state that they receive good support from their banks. Of course, there are many reasons for this challenge. We can name information asymmetries, as these small companies are usually more opaque than larger ones, and of course, very important, lack of collateral, which introduces or brings us to the introduction of credit guarantee schemes as a key tool used by regulators in the region and in other regions of the world. They work with the main objective of facilitating SMEs access to finance, and they help in overcoming deficiencies in the market. They can be defined as risk-sharing mechanisms, so under which a guarantor, which is in this case the CGS, the Credit Guarantee Scheme, they ensure the lender, which are usually banks or any other type of financial intermediary, a share of their possible losses incurred when extending a loan. In other words, CGSs insure banks a portion of their losses on the loans made to SMEs in case of their default. They have the choice between three approaches: individual, portfolio, and hybrid approach. In the individual, the borrower, which is in this case the SME or startup, applies and presents their project to the guarantor, which is the CGS, who screens the project, and after screening, depending on the outcomes, they might issue a letter of guarantee to the borrower, who can then use this letter to apply for a partner bank. So it provides credit risk mitigation in a way that the CGS will pay the lender if the borrower defaults, and the amount will depend on the coverage rate. In the portfolio approach, they deal directly with banks. So they provide or extend guarantees as a portfolio that complies with certain pre-approved criteria. There is no direct link between the guarantor and the lender, and the borrower. In the hybrid approach, both methods are used. So what are the benefits of credit guarantee schemes? As we discussed, they reduce the credit risk, making the financing more available, more affordable. They help the SMEs overcome challenges related to cost, supply, and collateral requirements. For example, in a recent survey addressed to EMGN Network, the credit guarantee schemes state that the estimated percentage of borrowers that could not have a loan without a guarantee is not less than 70 to 80%, which proves their additionality and the important role they play in enhancing access to finance. The rejection rates are very low. In some cases, they also perform capacity building. Maybe Nagla can tell us more about this. They perform some kind of technical assistance and training for maybe borrowers or lenders. They also play an important counter-cyclical role in times of crisis. And the most obvious example is their role in the COVID-19 pandemic, where they were essential to implement government strategies. So what they did is that considerable public funds were allocated to these schemes, and they ensure the continuity of finance to SMEs. So in the MENA region, we have mainly one guarantee scheme in each country, normally supported by the country's central bank. In Egypt, we have CGC, the Credit Guarantee Company. In Tunis, Sotugar, and in Lebanon, Kafalat. They all serve different sectors: industrial, agricultural, tourism, commercial, among others. They all support business startups, so in a way they support innovation, and they provide special support to projects that contribute in achieving certain development goals that could be green, sustainability, gender equality, and so on. And their support could be in a form of lower fees, higher coverage, accelerated procedures. So to give you an example on Lebanon, Kafalat have been operational for more than 2 decades. They offer a high number of programs for small and medium enterprises. They also focus on innovation, startups, farming, energy. So examples of their products: Kafalat Agriculture, Kafalat Energy, B5 Fund, which is a fund dedicated to building Beirut back after the port explosion, and Kafalat Startups and Innovation. Of course, the coverage of the coverage will depend on the product, but their range is from 70 to 90% of the loan. However, there are so many changes now that the country is facing an economic hardship. Some of their programs have been suspended. I'm happy that Ms. Yola Sariyuddin is here with us, so she can give us maybe what is still there, what is the state, and what are their current products. I share with you their website for more information. And this is it for me. Thank you very much, Joost, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mais. And as Mais has just mentioned, we have with us Yola Sariyuddin from Kafalat, and maybe she can just show her face for a moment that you all get a visual. And
hi, how are you, everybody?
Thanks for coming and being with us today. So if you have questions on Lebanon,
I just want to comment and to add on what Dr. Mais said. Thank you, first of all, Dr. Mais, for all the information and the slides and the data you provided to about Kafalat. However, I just want to mention something that, technically speaking, Kafalat is not supported by the central bank. Actually, we're standalone, and our capital is by banks. However, banks are loans granted or loans guaranteed by Kafalat are technically supported through banks, not through us. So the support goes to the beneficiary and to the bank itself who gives the loan, not to Kafalat. We don't have any kind of support from the central bank as in Kafalat. This is one. Two, yes, as you well mentioned, and clearly you mentioned that in some of the cases and in cases of crisis, guarantee companies starts looking for other sources of income and for other role in the economy to play. One of them is the B5 fund that you mentioned, which is technically, it's not a loan, it's not a guarantee. It's funding from donor countries, and it's administered by the World Bank and managed by us. It's technically grants given to businesses that were damaged after the explosion, the Beirut explosion in 2020. And we are in the process of phasing out the project because we're mature. We're coming to the end of the implementation period of the project, which is, I think it's April 2024. And besides that, well, there is another new project that we're also negotiating with the World Bank that is giving direct loans to businesses in agro industry sectors. If this project passes through its proper channels, the World Bank, the Ministry of Finance in Lebanon, we're gonna be indirectly taking a small part of the roles of the banking sector in Lebanon that has totally collapsed and they are not functioning anymore. There are no banking loans currently issued in Lebanon. The only, I believe, access to finance is provided through microfinance institutions that are still operating in Lebanon. Very small portion of these are still in the business. They at one point in time, maybe in 10, there were like around 13 microfinance institutions. Now they dropped down to 6 or 7 maximum, with one of them having the biggest market share, and another one is coming now to the scene that we're trying to, that is not regulated by any sector, and it's off the records. So this sector is slowly phasing out of the economy, especially that the economy is turning into a cash basis economy rather than banking economy. So this is in a nutshell the situation in Lebanon. Thank you again, Mais, for the introduction.
And thanks for your immediate comments, Yola, because as Mais was talking about Lebanon, it's good you do it right away. If you have more questions later to Mais or to Yola, don't be shy. This is your chance to ask all the difficult questions. And without further ado, let's continue. And I think we are going to Tunisia. And if your French is not polished up, we will change that. And Ben Hatira Tahar from Sotugar will give us an introduction about credit guarantee institution in Tunisia. S'il vous plaît.
Merci, Jus. Merci, Mais, pour l'introduction. Donc, la Sotugar, comme vous le savez, c'est l'unique opérateur de la garantie dans le pays. Donc, nous sommes la seule institution qui offre de la garantie aux PME. Nous sommes donc une entreprise d'État. L'État est présent à hauteur de 33%. Les 2 autres tiers sont détenus par les banques. Nous ne sommes pas sous la coupe de la Banque centrale. Et nous gérons donc une douzaine de fonds et de mécanismes de garantie dédiés à la PME, à la TPE, dans l'industrie, l'agriculture et les services.
Peut-être nous faisons une traduction maintenant parce que Christine.
Oui.
Okay, merci.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Tahar. Thank you, everyone. So Mr. Tahar was introducing Sotugar. So it's a credit guarantee company in Tunisia and the only credit company in Tunisia. So they are partly state-owned. The state has 33% ownership. You correct me if I say something wrong, okay? I took some notes. So the rest is by private banks. And they right now, they manage 12 different funds, which are dedicated to help MSMEs and different businesses in different sectors. So you have MSMEs, but also in the agro industry and agroforestry and industry and other industries. Is that correct?
Oui. Notre modèle opératoire, donc nous avons des rapports directs uniquement avec les structures de financement, essentiellement les banques, les compagnies de leasing et les sociétés d'investissement capital risque, capital venture. Donc, nous n'avons pas de rapport direct ni de relation avec les porteurs de projets, les entreprises qui demandent des crédits. Ils s'adressent aux banques, aux compagnies de leasing et aux sociétés de financement de fonds propres. Et c'est ces sociétés-là qui ont des rapports avec la Sotugar pour garantir les opérations de financement.
Okay, so what Mr. Tahar was saying here is that Sotugar doesn't work directly with the business, with the entrepreneurs, but they work with financing institutions, so with banks, leasing, or venture capitalists. So how with the financing, how it works is that the entrepreneurs need to go through this company, bank, leasing, or venture capitalism, and then they do the connection directly with Sotugar.
Okay, thank you. Merci. Thank you. You too have it all.
Ok, donc nous gérons essentiellement donc un fonds de garantie qui a été mis en place en 2018 grâce à l'appui de la Banque mondiale, qui est baptisé Vamen Express. Il s'adresse à toutes les entreprises dont le coût d'investissement ne dépasserait pas 15 millions de dinars et qui opèrent dans tous les secteurs d'activité, sauf le tourisme, la promotion immobilière et les services financiers.
Monsieur Tahar, voulez-vous partager votre présentation?
Elle est chez Christine.
Je la partage. Voici.
Ok.
Voilà.
Oh, merci.
Donc, les entreprises éligibles, donc, ce sont les entreprises qui sont formalisées, bien constituées, qui répondent à la réglementation en vigueur. Et les activités qui sont éligibles à la garantie, c'est toutes les activités prévues dans une nomenclature d'activités en Tunisie, mais il y a des activités qui sont exclues, essentiellement l'hôtellerie, les services financiers, le commerce et la promotion immobilière destinée à l'habitat.
So what Mr. Tahar is saying here is that there are some, so the businesses that are eligible for guarantee are all of those that have an investment cost of less than 15 million dinars. And some industries are excluded from this, which is the hotellerie, everything that has to do with hotels and how we call that again? Yeah, hotel, restaurants, and all of that. Then you have the financial services and
For estate and
yeah,
real estate.
Real estate.
Okay.
Sorry, it's hard to read in French and think in English.
Ce que nous garantissons, c'est essentiellement les crédits destinés à l'investissement, donc tout ce qui est crédit moyen et long terme, et tous les crédits court terme dont peut avoir besoin une entreprise pour financer son besoin en fonds de roulement. Donc, les nouveaux crédits donc, accordés pour les investissements dans une entreprise dans le cadre d'une opération de restructuration sont également éligibles. À part les aspects financement crédit, nous garantissons également les participations des sociétés de capital risque, venture capital, les fonds communs de placement et les fonds d'amorçage sous toutes les formes, que ce soit en actions ordinaires, en obligations convertibles en actions, compte courant associés, etc. Les financements par contrat de leasing mobilier sont également éligibles à notre garantie Ramen Express. Christy, vous faites la traduction?
Oui. Okay, so,
Désolé.
so no worries. So the eligible financing is for credit of after, like within 7 years of the start of a company. It's eligible for a company that wants to be to restructure themselves or that participate in SICAR, well, okay, this form that you see here on my screen, equity, thank you. And then for financing of real estate contract.
OK. Bon, on ne garantit pas toutes les entreprises, donc nous nous adressons à la PME et pour nous, la PME, c'est un coût d'investissement qui ne devrait pas dépasser les 15 millions de dinars. Donc.
Exactly. So it's mostly for enterprises, small and medium enterprises of less than 15 million dinars of investment fund.
Nous offrons 3 quotités de garantie. Donc, nous garantissons pour les banques et les sociétés d'investissement à hauteur de 75% pour les projets qui sont implantés dans l'intérieur du pays, dans les zones de développement régional, ou les projets qui sont promus par des jeunes nouveaux promoteurs, ou ceux qui sont réalisés dans des secteurs innovants. On leur offre une quotité de 75%. 60% pour les autres projets et les financements sous forme de crédit bail mobilier, donc ils sont garantis à hauteur de 50%.
So they guarantee 75% for projects which are implemented in rural area. Or by new entrepreneurs, so new companies. Is that correct? Yes. And then also for projects in innovation sector. And then they guarantee 60% for other type of project, which are within the eligibility that we previously mentioned, and 50% for the one concerning real estate credits or leasing.
OK. Donc, les promoteurs, en contrepartie de ce service, supportent une petite contribution de 0,6% l'an sur l'encours du crédit, s'il s'agit d'un crédit moyen ou long terme, 1% pour les crédits court terme et 3% pour les participations en capital. Donc, 3 types de contributions sont dues au fonds de garantie.
Okay, so regarding the contribution, it's a 0.6% during the year when, sorry, can you explain this first one to me again?
Donc, les crédits moyen et long terme payent en gros annuellement 2,6%. Voilà.
Okay,
ça
so
peut
as a
aller jusqu'à 2,6% si le crédit est à plus de 5 ans de maturité.
Okay, so as a summary, the middle and long-term credits pay an average of 2.6% per year.
Pour le crédit court terme, 1%.
For a short-term credit is 1%, and then for the one that participate in CCAR, 3%.
Private equity, 3%.
Private equity, thank you. 3%.
Dans nos rapports avec nos partenaires, essentiellement les banques et les sociétés d'investissement capital risque, nous avons 3 modalités d'entrée en garantie. Il y a une modalité où la banque a une délégation pour les petits projets.
En français, oui.
Pardon? Donc, pour les petits projets, la banque a une délégation d'octroi de la garantie. Pour les projets moyens dont le coût est inférieur à 5 millions de dinars, il procède par déclaration digitalisée. Et pour les projets dont le coût est entre 5 et 15 millions de dinars, nous étudions le projet et nous accordons la garantie après accord. Donc, il y a 3 modalités. Une modalité où la banque a une délégation. La deuxième, c'est déclaratif. Et la troisième, c'est un pré-accord après étude de dossier.
Okay, so there are 3 modalities of guarantee. One that the bank has a like a participation, which is for less than 2 million dinar. Then one that there needs to be a declaration, which is less than 5 million dinar. And then between 5 and 15 million dinar, it needs to be, it needs to have a previous accord, like agreement with Sotugar, and it's a more throughout study.
Yes, yes. Également, dans nos rapports avec les banques, donc comment ils sont indemnisés, où ils peuvent recevoir une première indemnisation. Donc, dès l'engagement des poursuites, la banque reçoit une avance, un acompte sur indemnisation de 70% de la quotité garantie. Les 30% qui restent seront versés dans les 30 jours à la clôture des procédures de recouvrement. Okay.
Okay, so how it works with the bank for the payment of the guarantees. So there is an advance of down payment of 70% and of the amount guaranteed, and then the rest of the 30% will be sent to the bank on 30 days after the closing of the project.
Okay. Voilà, en gros, donc il y a des échanges et des rapports entre nous et la banque pour le suivi des impayés, pour les rééchelonnements et le contrôle. Donc, ça se fait sur la base d'un contrat qui est souscrit par la banque auprès de la Sotugar pour gérer ces mécanismes de garantie-là. Ça, c'est un mécanisme qui s'adresse à la PME. Donc, on a dit que c'est jusqu'à 15 millions de dinars d'investissement. Nous avons d'autres mécanismes qui s'adressent à la toute petite, very small enterprise, à l'agriculture. Donc, les modalités ne sont pas très, très différentes. Merci.
Thank you, Mr. Tahar. So to conclude, he was telling us that this project we just see, Daman Express, is mostly for small and medium enterprises, but they also have another product for micro enterprises, mostly in the agricultural sector, but it's also a really similar scheme. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tahar Ben Hatira from Sotugar, and of course to Christine for this excellent and spontaneous translation. I think merci, and everybody was able to follow. But before we go to Egypt, I think I want to address this one question we have in the chat, and I'm not sure if we're going to translate it. Monsieur Tahar,
Oui.
dans le chat. Yola, maybe Yola, you want to ask the question directly, because I think just quickly explain the question in a simple terms.
Yeah,
and then
no,
Christine.
because Mr. Tahir, you talked about VC funds.
Yes.
شو بتعملوا مع ال VC funds? What do you do exactly with the VC funds? And there is also the part of the equity. Do you provide equity guarantee?
Yes, we provide guarantee equity, but we don't participate in the SMEs. Like banks, a venture capital company ask us to guarantee their participation, and we do it.
Mm-hmm.
So do you evaluate the company, or do you depend on the valuation of the بتقوموا بتقييم الشركات انتوا او بتقيموا او بتعتمدوا على ال VC fund؟
حسب
وشو بتاخدوا بالمقابل؟
حسب قيمة الاستثمار. يعني لو الشركة استثماراتها bon. بتفهمي فرنساوي يولا؟
Yes.
Yes. Donc pour que tout le monde suive. Donc pour les projets dont le coût est compris entre supérieur à 5 millions de dinars et inférieur à 15 millions de dinars. À ce moment-là, nous étudions le projet et nous nous prononçons sur la possibilité de le garantir. Et on peut moduler la quantité de garantie. On peut offrir plus que 60%, moins 60%, plus que 75%, moins 75%. D'accord? Si le projet il est inférieur à 5 millions de dinars, donc nous acceptons d'une manière quasi automatique donc la participation de la SICAR, de la société capital investissement, dans le capital de l'entreprise à garantir. C'est clair?
For some, it's clear because you were speaking Arabic as well as French. Is someone able to quickly summarize it in English so we don't exclude anybody? I see there are also more questions coming in from Maher and one written from Deka Hamani. We wanted to actually finish first all three presentations. So for the sake of time, I have to ask our colleagues to write the questions in the chat, and we come to it right after the presentation of Egypt. Otherwise, we might have not enough time for hearing the Egyptian example.
Just.
Yes. Can you repeat the answer?
Yes, please.
Yes, but we also have. We were planning to have first all three presentations and then answer the questions. Please think about your answers. And Maha, can you please write the questions if possible into the chat, or your comment into the chat, so we don't lose it as well. But can you just summarize someone in English the answer for Yola, from Yola's question? Because it was all.
Sure. Just so if I got everything, what Mr. Tahar explained here is that for project between 5 to 15,000 million dinar, they do a throughout research and study within Sotugar, and then they are able to finance 60% or more, but depending on the study.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Merci. So once again, please write your questions and into the chat as well. And then we have more than half an hour to hopefully answer all of them. I know it's maybe nice to answer questions after each intervention, but we promised all speakers that they can present first. So bear with us. And I would like to hand over to our Egyptian expert. And you all, I think we have now about more than 30 people into the room. So just in case you missed something, we heard Dr. Mais, and we also heard Mr. Tahar from Sotugar, and now we hear. Oh, I can hear myself. And now we're going over to Egypt, and I will ask our speaker to switch on the presentation for us.
I'm sharing the presentation. Yes, is it? Can you see it or?
Okay, I think I have a problem with my screen. So
Yeah,
you see
we
all
can
the
see it.
presentation. Okay, so
Okay.
I introduce one more time Nagla Bahr. She's the CEO of CGC Egypt and also the chairwoman of the EU Mediterranean Guarantee Network, EMGN. Nagla, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So thank you, everybody, and thanks to the INVESTMED people for the opportunity actually through this program that we've been interacting with you through it, for more than a year now with our colleagues, and we've seen actually the level of cases and that are presented across this program, which we are very happy with, and would love actually to have this program at a bigger scale than where we are now. Having said so, and focusing on the guarantee schemes as a tool for financing the small businesses, as Mais highlighted, followed by Tahir, and definitely with the challenges that our colleague in Lebanon, Yola, are facing, where I think actually, Yola, I can see that soon you will be having a very, very important role in saving this market because, as it had been said, and I think Maisa highlighted it, within crisis, the guarantee thrives, and this is where it's not only crisis, but crisis in particular. It focuses on the role of guarantee. Best of luck with your economy status. Best of luck with us too. But having said, so having said so, actually, I will skip, but I will just highlight the importance of guarantee as a risk mitigation tool, as you highlighted all, and Maisa highlighted, and the thing about it, it is just a risk mitigation tool carrying part of the expected risk from the financial institutions, banks or non-banks, as Tahir referred. Sometimes we go into equity or venture capitals or others. So the fact actually that just a moment, the fact that actually everybody is focusing on guarantee, it's on this edge that the guarantee can enable the market to accept the small businesses of any country by stepping in, bearing part of the expected risk from the financial institution. Basel II with the banks had been realizing this importance and considering the important factor of having SMEs and supporting the SMEs. They provided the guarantee schemes with a weight, and this weight is encouraging the financial institutions to step more for the small business, and this weight actually is enabling them. We're not going to go into its complexity, but it's a weight that enables them to minimize the cost of finance when they are interfering with the small businesses by not allocating, for example, the 100% provision against the expected risk, or even allocated the needed capital. So definitely the guarantee has another advantage, to enable the financial institution to step in. Guarantee industry had been booming, across the last period. And we can say it's a serious global industry. IMF by itself, they came out with a study or with actually analysis saying that across their examination of 3 tools across the crisis of the pandemic and immediately after the pandemic, between increasing the direct capacity of the lending institution or going into equity or guarantee proved to be the most effective tool, taking into consideration 2 important factors of their capacity to leverage the resources, which is very, very important. Against the $1, you can go to unlimited. It depends on the government appetite, if it is the funds are coming from the government. But in normal cases, you can go up to 10 or 15 or 20 leverage of this $1. The other factor, which is crucial also, is kind of postponing the liability, the actual financial liability on the founder or the guarantee scheme, because nobody will take the facility now and will default tomorrow, which will give some time for the policymaker and the governments to prepare or to act upon the crisis that they make. guarantee scheme, according even to them as an IMF, you know, they mentioned that it's across the members of the IMF, almost 65 to 70% are having guarantee schemes, and the others are in process of establishing new guarantee schemes. This study had been done like a year and a half ago or 2 years, so I'm sure actually the status now is different, which is emphasizing the very important factor of having the guarantee scheme to support the small business to have their access to finance. Guarantee scheme, I'll skip how we work because the main mechanics that we have source of finance, and we take this source of finance and we leverage it, as we said, to pass it in forms of guarantee to the financial institutions, and through them we go to the SME. I'll go to Egypt, you know, because it is now I'll focus. No, before Egypt, actually, I would like to highlight that with this importance of the guarantee schemes, we started to create networks across the whole globe. So we have the network of the guarantee schemes of the South Americans. We have the network of the guarantee schemes in Asia. We have the network of the European guarantee schemes, and we have a network for the North Africa, Middle East. And why we're doing that? Because the industry itself is becoming an extremely important industry, and yet there is no real science over there to guide our operational standards and the others. So we started as networks to work together in establishing the needed operational standards, which we did. Under World Bank actually took the lead on that, and we collected all those experts across the world, and we kind of came out with standards for operation to enable us as guarantee schemes to have like a reference to go to, and we're still working on that. So, and under this, actually, I was honored to be the head or the chairwoman of the Euro-Mediterranean Guarantee Network, which had been established. You know, we've been working on it since 2010, or I can't remember, not 2010, it's even before that, but it came out on board by 2019, and we have like now almost 11 members active, and we have the network of the European guarantee networks with us, and we have the global guarantee schemes network with us, and we are working with different partners across the world. And even if we're talking about the Euro-Mediterranean, but we have actually the Saudi, and now we have actually a list to be accepted by the network end of this year, inshallah. So we are expanded, and we are counting too much on our networks to learn and to exchange and to share actually the know-how. With Egypt, we are part of this industry, so we are still a risk mitigation tool. We are supervised, regulated by the central bank. And we have actually the weight that had been granted by Basel. And we are established like a joint stock company, but with majority public banks or public sector banks. Within the crisis, or after the pandemic in particular, and the expansion that all guarantee schemes had witnessed in our portfolios, we were all faced with the fact that we have to change our business model. And under this, actually, it was crucial. It was crucial for us as guarantee schemes to go to a new business model. And let me just get the right slide. Yes. A new business model that we have to apply. And with this model, we understood the importance of not stick ourselves to only finance in terms of the guarantee that we presented, but it's crucial that we have to incorporate the non-financial aspect, which we already incorporated. This model came on board like in 2021, but we started its serious implementation in mid-2022, 2022, and we took like the clearance on our new strategic plan that is based on this new model. The model incorporated a couple of aspects that are very important, as I said, the importance of the non-financial, the importance of the diversification of our products. We cannot stick only to a credit guarantee. You were asking actually Tahir regarding the product of the venture, the equity guarantee or the venture capital. We all have to go there. It's not only equity. Equity is very important to present as equity guarantee, but we have equity guarantee, we have export guarantee, we have models that we have to tackle our capital markets, and we go into bond.
Nagla, we did the direct guarantee. We did direct investment in equity in 2010. We started it. Yeah.
I know, but actually we were not doing that, and not all guarantee schemes were doing that. Now it is an important component, and not only that, we are doing a direct guarantee as well, which is a main focus now. The direct guarantee that we're talking about is like going to the small business, conduct all assessment of their status and pass them to the banks or to the financial institution with a kind of more simplified list of requests, not a complicated one, and based on their needs. Not actually, it's a top-down model. But as you can see, it's a map that is full of lots of models that we have to work on that, which had been reflected also on our model, where in the model we have to secure our financial sustainability, because with this kind of expansion that we're heading to, not only at the level of size, but with the diversification of what we are presenting, we actually have to look at ourselves. And that was very important, to look inside ourselves. And I was calling for that, and we're having in Tunisia, associated with the meeting of the MENA region, a workshop that is focusing on all these aspects that has to do with the regulations and the governance and the whole issue that has to do with who we are on this new model, because we are expanding our risk portfolio drastically, and as I said, diversifying it, heading for the more risky businesses, because we have to move with the market. We have to shake our markets while we are passing this economic crunch. And that had been reflected on our strategic plan clearly. Clearly, we are specifying that we're here to support and enable the SME. We are here to participate or to lead the market stabilization by enabling all these small businesses to continue their businesses and find the ways actually to work with them and focus on them, which is a very, very important point. And even our 3 objectives are all around them, except one that is related to them also, because when we are sustained financially, when we are solid financially, this is actually will enable us to serve them more. So by having said so, actually that enabled us even to hit for such a portfolio. We're talking about a portfolio that is geared towards all. We have no preferential sector or geographic or whatever. We had for everybody. We had for all sectors. We had for all geographic areas. The portfolio currently reached it is like 6, and definitely with the exchange rate, it's and we're having like this problem with the FX in Egypt, and this is why it is reflected in these numbers. But we're talking about a portfolio in $6 and $7 billion, and that is participating in GDP by 3.2, and this is still a modest percentage, because with our economies in this region, we need to hit like not less than 7, 8, or 9 for our GDP, from our GDP through our portfolios, and that will reflect the expansion of what of our business and to serve our small businesses. The whole region is facing lots of challenges, and there is a tool that had been rediscovered and confirmed to be the tool to lead these markets to stabilization and to help our small businesses. And we're trying to help ourselves to be ready with that. And our last injection to the market was our direct model, as I said, and this is for talking the value proposition of this model, the model that is focusing only in the small and on creating jobs, because this is what we're facing. and overcoming all these bottleneck, waiting for the banks to come with the SMEs. No, in this model, we go to the SMEs, we get the SMEs, we help the SMEs to comply with what we are going to present. We do the study, we conduct the credit study, and we put it, it's also a digital, the digital factor, I have to highlight it, which was very important. And that was our first digital product. It has a platform. On this platform, all these kind of interactions between the small business, us, and the financial institutions, plus all the international institutions and the others who can provide or participate with us in providing the non-financial or the advisory services. You know, and lately I can give one example that when we were hitting the market, we found that the two parties, the small businesses and the banks, are not enthusiastic about the overdraft accounts facility. Why? Small businesses, they don't know how to manage this, so it comes to them at a higher cost. And banks are worried because the small business, they don't know how to manage their overdraft, so it's always a problem to them. So we did a course. Immediately come to small business, we'll tell you how to manage your overdraft account so you can run it at a lower cost, because not everything you have to take it as a loan. You have to diversify your finance. So when you're talking operational expenses, you take overdraft. When you're talking assets, you go and take loans. But mixing the two of them and mismatching your finances always leading to a crunch at your cash flow, and will result definitely in higher default rate. Having actually our product Engis, actually it came on board. It's still on its pilot phase. We had like an honorable recognition through the last week in India for the level of innovation with this product, due to the use of platform and digital and the comprehensive offer that we presented through the platform of this project, and through which, you know, we are hoping that we could help our small business more and more, and take those who are not yet included within our financial sector and help them to be included. And I think by saying this, I am done with my presentation. Thank you, everybody, and best of luck for the investment.
Thank you so much, Nagla. So a big thank you to the team of EMEA for hosting us today, and of course to all our resource persons, Dr. Mais, Sha'ban, Nagla Bahr, and of course from Tunisia, Tahar Ben Hatira, and then of course also Yola Saridine from Kafalat. So thank you very much for sharing today. So we wish you a good afternoon, and you will see now one more time the slide on the way out for the QR code. And thanks very much for joining. I hope you had some good 90 minutes, interesting information, and this will be helpful for you. That's it for today. Kirsty, please show the slide one more time. So, and if you want to join the INVESTMED engagement platform and you haven't done so, or the EMEA mailing list, please do so. Just use your phone, keep it on for a minute or two. That's it from my side. And if anybody else wants to say something, it's what is a backstage now.